Welcome to Homestead Gardening in the Texas Gulf Coast. I'm Kristen Howard, and today I'm going to show you how to build a giant raised bed that saved me 30% in wood materials and increased my growing area by 50%. Raised beds are a popular choice for vegetable gardens because they drain well and they create better growing conditions for your plants, meaning an extended season for harvesting. For most people, a nicely constructed raised bed adds visual appeal. However, for people with physical limitations, you may opt for a 16 to 18 inch tall or even a taller bed to help with those limitations. However, if you're adding raised beds just to have better drainage, you can maximize your growing space and reduce your material costs by building a giant raised bed instead of several smaller raised beds like this. You may recall my Hügelkultur episode, which also shows you how to maximize your growing area. But today's episode is going to show you how to construct a more common raised bed.
Let's start by constructing the beds. With affordable lumber becoming more challenging to find, I opted for a lumber size that was in my budget and could fit in the back of my car. My beds are designed to be 10 foot by 16 foot, using 8-foot long boards and making cuts using a miter saw. Cardboard has been laid down to block weeds and kept in place with a few heavy compostable materials, and the boards are laid in roughly the location where they will be constructed. Using a drill and stainless steel wood screws, the bed edge boards were connected using an overlapped cedar board. Corners were constructed using 4x4 cedar posts.
Okay, by now you're probably wondering, how on earth do I plan to navigate this giant bed? So I'm about to show you how I plan to access the interior without compacting the soil.
After construction, a few leaves and table scraps that would normally go into the compost bin are added to the bed, along with a lot more sticks and dried grass. These compostable materials will be an added benefit to the bed in the future and reduce the amount of soil I needed to fill it today. Before filling my beds with soil, I checked to make sure the bed was level and found I didn't need to make any adjustments. If adjustments had been made, I would have made those on top of the cardboard to avoid disturbing the soil underneath. Instead of building pathways as my access into the beds, I used a shredded mulch to create thin access areas that can still decompose over time and allow roots to grow in and around the mulch. Because plants need airflow in large growing areas, I haven't compromised any growing space by doing this. The rule of thumb in gardening, or perhaps I should say the gardening joke, is that it takes a $5 hole to grow a $1 plant. That can be true when you buy all your materials new. I calculated that my 160 square foot of growing area needed nearly 3 cubic yards of soil, but I was able to reduce my materials to only 2 cubic yards using the same bed filling techniques I show you in the Hügelkultur episode. After the bottom compostable layer decomposes in 1 year, the bed may need to be topped off with fresh compost, but that gives me plenty of time to make my own compost using free organic material on my property without spending extra money up front to start my garden.
This giant raised bed costs about $1.80 per square foot when I construct it with 6-inch cedar boards and use the Hügelkultur layering method of filling the bed, which means I'm using free-to-me compostable materials on the bottom layer and then topping everything off with good quality garden soil and compost. If I was going to construct 2 separate beds in the same location that are 1/3 the size, meaning one on this side, one on that side, and an empty pathway in between, that would raise my costs from $1.80 per square foot to $2.80 per square foot. This giant raised bed, for roughly the same cost as 2 separate beds, increased my growing area by 50%.
Thanks so much for learning with me. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel so you can join me in the garden each week as I introduce you to new ideas and interesting plant selections just for you. If you're new to construction tools, don't be afraid to ask for help from someone with more experience. Just remember, we all make mistakes on our projects. That little drill wouldn't have a way to back out a screw if it didn't happen to everyone. So if you make a mistake, don't be ashamed to reset and try again.